Probably go to the junkyard or something.
Yeah.
What are you looking for?
The hubcap.
I lost the hubcap on mine.
I took my Jeep to the shop. It was one of those that the axle extends this far out into the hubcap.
Yeah.
The guy didn't put it back on. He drove it home that night. Whenever he heard it when it came off.
Is it on TV?
By the time he got back, 4 cars had run over. He's gonna find you a new one. They cost about $150 a piece.
Can you see their faces?
Yeah, dark this way.
Are you gonna save that for posterity?
Oh yeah.
At least 10 minutes.
At least 10 minutes, right?
So I guess she gets ready to take something out, and then she wipes out the film and uses it over.
I think before we tear down the little house, you need to go out and take a permanent picture of that.
What little
Just
house?
don't go inside.
Oh yes, I think they need to.
Put it on?
Okay.
Okay, all right. We're going to proceed to the little house that my dad and I slept in the 40s, late 40s. We moved here in 1946, and until I graduated from high school, this is where Dad and I lived, and Wanda and Leona lived in the main house. And we had a bathroom in there, but this little house right here was the one that Dad and I would take our bath in because we had more privacy than we did in the big house. Come on, follow me out this way. Of course, it wasn't as grown up at that time as we got now. Who's got the key to the little house? Okay, here it comes. Dad worked when we moved over here. He bought the house, I think, in about 43 or 44, and he spent probably 8 or 10 months getting that house ready to live. Then he worked out here getting this little place fixed, and I guess this is the original tar paper covering he put on it. All the windows worked at that time. It wasn't as down, and of course the floor is caved in now. Come on inside.
I've been in there. If I'll go in there, you can go in.
Well, it's everything was with Celotex, and of course, you know, it was very warm at that time. Are you getting any picture at all?
Yeah.
Okay. The beds were back in this area. Slip on back in here, Susan. Watch your step. The floor is now down on the ground, even though there's still some linoleum there. This was crammed full of all kinds of things that Mom and Dad had saved.
Yeah.
You couldn't even walk back here. Dad had his bed on this end, down here. I had my bed on this end. Every night I had a crystal radio. I'll show you outside where I had an antenna that stretched across the property here. And I'd listen to WWL in New Orleans every night until about 11 o'clock whenever I'd fall off to sleep. But you open it up, it was nice and cool. It was comfortable. This part of the room here, and behind you there, Susan, where everybody else is standing, I used to build model airplanes underneath that big window. And then I could open up the back door, and it would be, with the big window on the end, it would be open. It was an ideal place for someone that wanted his privacy and have a place to build model planes and just get away from everybody else. At least it seemed that way at the time.
Go ask Daddy for some money. Go ask him quick. Come on.
What you're looking at where the cars are parked now, and in around behind all the way over to Washington Street and back around here there was a fence. We kept one milk cow and probably 1 or 2 steers because I was in FFA and kept a few animals. We had 2 horses here. We used to have a barn sitting where these cajabut trees are right now, and we had a storm one year, and we heard something thump during the night, and the next morning, of course, the horses were in the barn, the cows were in the barn. Next morning we got out, it had taken the roof off of the barn, took it over the house, and buried it about 3 foot in the ground on the other side of the house without hitting anything just before the Ponciana tree. This was a little garage here behind you, Susan. Just turn on around where the shed is there now. And that was on the other side, identical section, which we had a little barn. We'd do our milking there. And the cows and the horses could come all the way back to that site.
And we quit having the cows.
Probably
We
the
had
50s. When? Did you have cows when you were
Yes,
here?
we had cows when one of them broke down the fence out here and chased Grandma up the poinciana tree, and I had to call Pap home from work. And that was the last time that steer was gone that night, and that was the last one we ever had.
Okay. When we
First and only time I ever seen Grandma run.
she went that way. Yeah. Of course, there was enough grass.
Get you rich.
Wasn't that enough grass to take care of all the cows? Now, where the houses are down here was nothing. There was no houses around, except one house just beyond this pond down here, and a big two-story house half a mile down. And then Billy Bowleg's Park was nothing but trees at that time, Australian pines. We'd take the cows and the horses out on the flat and tie them to graze on the weekend to let this grass grow back a little bit.
Battery lights flashing.
So you're running out of juice. Okay.
How much longer can we go?
About 5 minutes.
This now, where the pond has been dug out now, this was nothing but a very low place, and the cows would get bogged down because. And I tried to plow it one time with a Jeep pickup, probably a 42 Jeep truck, and I stuck it to the point completely past the axles. Went and got a John Deere tractor to pull it out and got it stuck, and finally had to go get a wrecker to get it all out. The cows would go down there. We had one old Jersey cow. She was so old, the horns were coming back around, and about every 6 months I'd have to clip the ends of the horns off in order to keep them going in her head. Well, she got down in the pond and was feeding through the fence and got her horn down, caught on it, and I had to go down there and get her unhooked and then pull her out by myself, and I was just a teenager at the time. But this place was never as big and never as serviceable as where we moved from over on Palmetto, or Seminole, I guess. Yeah, it was over on Seminole. We had a lot more land over there, but everybody decided they wanted to come over here right at the end of World War II. We were here whenever VJ Day and VE Day were declared. And some interesting growing up times is when there was hardly any houses in this area. You knew everybody for 5 miles this way and 6 miles that way, because there just wasn't that many people here at that time. So society pushes us on, and we find ourselves in urban areas. You look back on where you grew up. Okay? How about that?
Yay.